and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host, Javed Mohammed, and we're very honored to have with us Robert Wunderlich, who is the Product Strategy Director at Oracle. Robert, welcome.
Thank you, Javed.
So you are presenting at APIs, bringing cloud native to a world of SaaS. Sounds like a great title.
Thanks.
So tell us, cloud native, SaaS, how does this all come together?
Yeah, normally you would think that it would be oil and water, something totally differently. And there's a lot of companies, a lot of developers that they get into cloud native. They're developing new kind of greenfield projects. But many companies, especially enterprise companies, they have a very heterogeneous landscape of some new projects that they're working on, some legacy, and then they're also making use of SaaS. And SaaS is a great business model to leverage technology that you don't want to develop yourself. You just want to kind of offload to a provider. And so as we're building, we need to be able to integrate systems and connect systems together to, as you're building your cloud native projects, you need to be able to connect to SaaS and have SaaS connect to your cloud native services. And that brings about API management. But beyond that, Oracle is a huge provider of SaaS. We have one of the largest footprint of SaaS. And our SaaS teams are building, and delivering SaaS for our customers. And they are building on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And so they need to have that platform. They need to have API management. And so we're both building for, API management for our cloud native customers, but also for our SaaS teams to be able to deliver SaaS to customers as well.
Okay, so you want to give us a little kind of window into API management and how, whether it be within Oracle or outside with customers, how folks can actually integrate this heterogeneous environment that you spoke of?
Yeah, so I think of API management in kind of four main pillars. We call it create, control, consume, and communicate. So the four C's, of API management. And, when we look at it, a lot of us, we really start with, create, where you kind of want to figure out a really good, the design of how you want your services to interact, and to basically build according to that design. And we call that design first, or API, API first. And most people really start API by getting into the control. They set up a gateway at kind of a policy enforcement point, and to be able to, access their APIs. And that's kind of, how they interact. But I think at the ultimate objective is basically being able to communicate the value of your code portfolio. And that may be through what we call monetization, whether you're achieving real revenue from your APIs that you develop, or just being able to communicate to your stakeholders the value, of what you're delivering. So when you look at this, as we're developing systems, and as we're developing, say, for SaaS systems and others, is as we distribute our workloads further and further, API management becomes more important, because what happens is we need to have kind of this overriding governance of the services that we're creating and how we're interacting with those systems, and to basically have that visibility across the board. So at Oracle, in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, we start API first, meaning that all of our services that we develop in what we internally call OCI native services, they all are available as an API. They're available through a command line interface, through software development kits or SDKs, many different forms, not just the console that a human user would log into and use. And so everything we develop has to basically be driven by an API. And so, as we're doing that, though, we need to be able to give our customers the ability to kind of create APIs, and to be able to open the access to their systems as to what they're developing, for their partners. So it's kind of this interesting model where our API management is driven by API, but then also is used to be able to build APIs for our SaaS partners or our internal customers or SaaS teams that are building those services, but then also for our customers to build APIs for their customers. So there's many layers, to API management that we have.
Okay. So when people are going about, kicking off a project and they're trying to create an integration of new or existing services. So are there some kind of like best practices you might recommend when people are kind of at this initial phase?
Yes. So we always recommend to begin with what we call the API description. So this is in a particular format. The most popular format for RESTful APIs is called the Open API format. That is really valuable for describing the expected behavior of the API. And it's kind of formulating a contract. Contract-driven development is not a new concept. It's just taking a new flavor as far as RESTful APIs go. So one of the interesting things is if you begin with that format, and we have tooling where you can take that format, you can put it into our gateway, and you can create what we call mock services or stock responses. So you can start to model the behavior to see how it would work so that your partners can also try it out, test it, and make sure that it's meeting their objectives.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can develop around that. And that's basically what we call an API-led strategy, super important. Now, what we're finding though is that most customers, they have a lot of existing systems. And so they end up doing what we call an implementation first strategy. So we're also looking at other ways of how we can take existing systems and express their current API implementations and effectively document them so that they can be made accessible through a catalog so that you have the visibility to discover what services that you have. And then also to be able to, kind of use those services, monitor them, and carry them through their life cycle. But the best practice that we would say is a design-first approach where you're really kind of deciding what it is that you're going to kind of deliver, and then develop, do your implementation to deliver that contract.
Okay. Well, Robert, it sounds like not only a very exciting, but a very informative presentation. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing, and yeah, all the best.
My pleasure. Thank you.